I've lifted off the seat because it's not required to make the little Jeepish type body I'm making. I'm going to use this as 20mm square ordinary softwood, and I'm going to screw some of it underneath there so the sides can be attached to it. I'm using 12mm exterior ply, and I'm using ultimate screws that are 4x30mm, so you've got 2mm to play with, so don't go in too fast, you'll go through the ply, because I'm going to try and screw them all from the other side, so there's no car filler needed on the outside. This is a piece of block board that's about 3/4 that I had laying around. Normally I use the next size up from the 12mm ply for the bottom, but being as that was just kicking around, I've used that. And I'm going to make the body in different pieces of wood and work out the design, how far I'm coming out here and everything. Then make the whole kit with pieces of wood, and then it will just want screwing together, and then when it's okay and it fits on there okay, then I'll unscrew it, and then I'm going to glue it and get ready to paint it. What my plan is to make all these bits of wood and make the body roughly, because I'm making it up as I go along, really. Then when I've made it and got the body how I think it's going to be and everything, then what I'll do is I'll take it all off, take it to pieces, measure every bit of wood like a planned kind of kit. So you could just buy a sheet of plywood and just chop it into these pieces, and straight away you can put yourself a body together on it. Right, I've got most of the body roughly together, as you can see. I need to take it off. I need to take all the bits off, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what measurements they are, so all you have to do is to make a complete kit. I've not cut the piece out yet, so that it's going under the seat, so you can get at your motor and your brushes or anything. And none of this is completely fixed together. This is roughly, I think it was something like 78mm cutter to cut that hole out, which is what, just over 3 inches. That's that. This front I've made this because I've got some lights from the boot fair that are only £3 a pair that I'm going to sink in there. This grill, I've made this grill out of, this is roughly, this is half inch dowling, which is what, just something like about 12-13mm, and I've drilled these holes in here. You can have them what space you like, obviously, but I think, and then I've put that in there, and when it's painted it will look a bit like a Jeep. I'm not putting any mud guards on it or anything, because these kids racing round, they'll clout it and mess it up, and then they'll come back to me. I've not cut these out yet. I've gone with a pencil round there, and then obviously I'll need to allow another ½ inch or whatever to make sure that I can clear it, so these wheels are not going to clout when you go to turn the steering for a start. To make it look a bit more like a Jeep, I'm going to use this frying pan, and I'm going to mark it roughly each side where the doors, and put a curve round there so it's easier to step in it. And then on the back, I'm doing a straight back on the back, because I want to put a spare wheel on it to make it look good. And if I put puncture-proof tyres on the back, and then a spare wheel that's a front wheel on there, then there's no problem whatsoever. If you get a puncture, you can still drive it anyway, but you'll have a spare wheel to put on. I've only gone this far with the seat as well that's going to go in here, because when the back's on, there's a little compartment here so you can put anything. I'm not putting any flashy moulding or anything on here. I'm going to sandpaper it all up and make it so it's simple to make. I don't want to go down a road of complication, because it'll be tricky for people to make, and I'm just making it look a I'm making it look a bit military, and I've got some emulsion paint that's olive colour, and I've bought some little American star type stickers to go on, so that I can put one on the bonnet, one each side, hopefully one on the back if it will fit on there, because the spare wheel's going on there. And also, when I've taken all this off and cut these, and cut this out, and cut this curve out, then it's going to be more or less ready to assemble again. I need to make a couple of brackets to attach and support this bit along here, and also because I've shortened this to make it look a bit more in perspective, I need to cut this bit off there as well to make it level with that. And then also on the back end, I've got to do a couple of brackets on the back end so that to support the back of it, so it's all fixed. So I'm going to take all this off now, cut all these bits, and then measure it all so that anyone wants to make this, they'll know exactly what size everything is, and then you'll be able to just cut it straight away, and it'll be much faster. Once you've got all the sizes of these pieces of wood exactly, it'll be very simple then to just get a sheet of ply and just cut them all out, and it'll be very simple as a kit. All these bits I've screwed on, I've not glued any of them because I'm going to take it all off and make sure it's okay, and then glue all the body together and then drop it on afterwards. Because the top of the wheel doesn't go right in there, when I cut this circle, this is roughly the wheel, I'm going to come about an inch this way, but only half inch to the top, and do this kind of thing so it's tapered round, and then try it to make sure the wheel's not rubbing. I'll just do it and then check it out after. I've used this frying pan, which is roughly the same size as the actual outside of the tire, and what I've done is I've slid it this way and marked it, so I'm not going right upwards, I'm just going sideways, so it's not quite a circle really, if you see what I mean. I'll just cut that and see if it's okay. These are the sizes of the side of the car. Okay, we're looking at 122.3 centimetres. Yeah, roughly just over 4 foot. I've worked out and cut a hole out where the brake is so you can get at the electric brake, and I've also cut this bit out to clear the back axle. Okay, I've cut this out with a 75 millimeter cutting circle. This one is a 3.5 inch cutter, 89 mil, and I've cut that out 13.3 centimetres from the end, so you can work it out where the centre is from that. Now the height of this looks like 40.4 centimetres, which is just under 16 inches. Then along where I've cut it out for the front part, I've cut it down on the front. So I've cut this bottom bit of roughly 12 inches or 30.5 centimetres, and from the back at the top where it's going to be, this bit from the back of it, I've gone 54.3 centimetres, and then I've used the frying pan out. I've just put a curve in here so it can get in easier. Then at the front, At the front here, I've cut a bit off of this way. Now, this is roughly 4 centimetres by 5 centimetres. Okay, and as you can see, I've slid the frying pan over and I'm cutting it out. So it's not a kind of a circle, it's a bit of a circle, then it goes along in the middle, then down the other side. Okay, and obviously both sides of the car are the same. So I've only got to do one really. This is the floor that I've not took out yet, that I'm going to fix the whole body together. And the dimensions of this are 36.9 centimetres, roughly 14.5 inches wide. And the length is 44.2, roughly 17 3/8 inches. Right, to match the floor, the pieces that are going inside of the two sides are obviously the same width. So this piece where the seat is, this is the same width as the base, okay, which is about 14.5 inches, which is 36.8 it looks like. That's what, and also the piece that I'm putting across here, that is exactly the same width that's got to fit in there. But because I'm overlapping the back each side, instead of it being 14.5 or 36.8, you've got to add on 24 mil for the two pieces of plywood that you're going to get, 12 mil each side. So it's slightly wider to go over it. You'll see when I put this together and understand what I mean. This is the front that I made, which is obviously wider than the 14.5. You've got to add on the inches. So instead of 36.8, this is 39.2 centimetres wide, and it's about 10 inches roughly, just over. What this is 25.6 high. Now these little bars, you're not, you can put these where you like really. It depends, you could have gone wide or narrow or whatever you fancy. But what I've made this piece that I've dropped in here is really, that's 23.3 centimetres that way. And it's roughly 13 centimetres the other way. And I think I've put the centres, I've gone 3/4 of an inch because I'm working in metric and feet and inches. Yeah, no, they're inch. Yeah, so roughly the centres of these are an inch apart. When you drill it out and put the dowel in there, then put some glue on it and then push the whole lot in tight so it fits on there. And the wood that I'm using for the sides of that I've used for the sides is this, which is just thinner than the square bits I've been using on there, which is the same thing on here, about 20 mil by, well, whatever that is, 20 by 10 mil that's going on there that I've cut and fitted in there. But there's no limit what you're going to do. You might want bigger lights on here or smaller lights on here, and then you might want to make this a different size. You might want to go out here and go longer. It's up to you, whatever you want it to look like really. Right, this piece for the bonnet, I've just tank cutted a hole out. There's no specific size you want to, up to you what you want to put. That looks like about a 78 mil, about 3-inch hole I've cut out of there. And the length, this is the top bonnet, the length of this is 44.4 centimetres, and the side's the same as the back and the other bits, which is 39.2 again. And this hole, so that it clears the steering where I'm putting the piece back in there for it to go. That has worked out that I've done that. That's 26.7, somewhere around that centre, and obviously it's in the centre this way of that. Because I'm putting a little compartment at the back so you can put anything in it behind the seat, then obviously I've not got any exact measurement at the moment for this. I can measure that later, but this is roughly what I've done. This roughly, it's just over 10 mil 4 inch on there for the height, and it's obviously it's the same as the internal width of the seat part. And then when this goes on here, I'll put a piece of wood on the top here to cover that, and then the back of the seat will go on there, then the bottom of the seat will slip on the front. But you'll see that when I get closer to the end, because I'm going to get all these bits of wood in a minute now. I'm going to screw and glue it all together, and then see if the body drops on and off and the wheel's all clear, and then I can be able to sand it all down, then paint it. I'm just cutting all these bits out now as well. I'm only using just a jigsaw. The back's clearing okay, but I need to take a bit out the front because the front's a bit tight. So I need to chop a bit just around that bit there at the front to clear that. And I'll do both of them. I think it just wants something like that cut out of the front of both sides. Right, that's more like it. Clearance both sides. So I've just got to copy that on the other side. Because I want to put a spare wheel on the back of this little Jeep type looking machine, I need to make a bracket for it. So what I need to do is telling me just the height roughly of what I need to make the bracket to bolt on the back of the Jeep looking thing. This is a front stub axle I've chopped off. That's where the bearings go. I've chopped it off roughly so I can make this axle that kind of height. So I've drilled a hole in a bit of M8. I've drilled an M8 hole in a bit of just flat strip so that I can pack some pieces under a level, and then I can get it to rest there perfect so I can just weld it, because I don't really want to weld it all over the place so the wheel don't go on. And also I don't want the wheel to go on there so kids can spin it. I need it to go on there so it just tightens up enough so it won't slip round really. This is the back end of the scooter. I've tipped it on its side. At the back I've glued a piece of this 20 by 20 wood across there, and then where it's level with that I've just got a couple of bits of flat strip on there so that I can screw and connect that. Obviously I'm going to stick the bolts the other way and cut them off and put nylocks on them, but these need painting anyway. That's just the back end to hold the body at the back. Right, on the front of it underneath, because I never had enough of this 20 mil, I've just glued a bit of plywood on there, which will do the job anyway. This is a bit of metal off the chassis of another scooter that was being scrapped, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a bit of this to just make a bracket and secure the front. I'm going to kind of drill this and then chop this bit off here so that it turns it into a bit of angle, so that I can put a couple of holes in there and then fix it forwards with screws, and then that'll be the front secure. Right, I've cut the front piece of chassis up and made the bracket now and bolted it on there and screwed it on there. Obviously this wants sanding and rounding corners and things. These two holes are part of 2 3/8 inches. I'm working in inches and metric because I'm an old boy. Right, I've pinned, I've got to fill the nail holes in anyway, it's going to be painted, but I've put a piece of wood on there and pinned it and glued it. That's 1.5 inches wide, 1.25 rather. You can have it however thick you like. Right, and I've cut this piece this is going to be the back seat that's going to be upholstered and go in there, right? This is roughly 4.5 inches, but well, 4.5 inches in is 14 3/8 inches. I've allowed a little bit in there for the material, and I'm just going to upholster it using some brown material that's been laying about that I've had for a while, and I'm just going to upholster the back of it with some brown material that I've had laying around, imitation leather, good quality. I'm just going to do it with a hand staple gun for the back of the seat. I've overlapped it that way on the corners, okay, just a quick staple up, then this is going to go in like that, and I'm going to screw it from the other side, and then I can cut the wood for the bottom seat. Because you can't get in behind here, I've drilled a 5mm hole in there, and because you can't get in there, and I want to countersink that, I'm just doing that and going in with one of these things that nearly goes around corners. Right, this is the base for the seat. Okay, I've sprayed it with this, what upholsterers use. Just give it a quick spray and push that and stuck that on there. Now what I need to do now is to just cut it out, and it's best to leave about a quarter of an inch sticking out. Okay, and also this, make sure you've got a bit of play, so when you upholster it, you don't upholster it and it don't fit in there, because that'll wind you right up. I've upholstered that, and I've screwed a bit of wood across here that drops in there so that you can put the seat in, push it half back, and it drops down. Then you've not got to screw it at all, that'll hold it. Well, I've made the bracket for the spare wheel to go on. That just wants bolting on there, but I need to spray it first. I've drilled out 20mm holes here, and on the back of these little things there's a little nick there that stops them spinning round. So I've cut a little bit with a Stanley knife, a little notch, so that will go in there, and then these lights will just push in there like that, and then you can put a little bit of silicone or something round them to stop them falling out. Because it doesn't look right without any mud guards, to make it look more like a Jeep, I've decided that I am going to put mud guards on it. I've cut them for both sides and the bits of metal, and what I'm going to do now is to tip it on its side and then show you the measurements, tell you the measurements and how to put the mud guards and the running board on. Right, I've tipped it on its other side, and I need to screw these down here 3.5 inches from the edge of this, okay, there, and one of them near the back there, because that's what the running board's going to go on. Yep, the side pieces I put on these, they're 9 inches each, and they're angled. I've angled them on a saw so they're going to fit up against these bits like this to do the mud guards, okay? Right, the total length of this front one's at 12 5/8, and the total length of the back one is 12.5 roughly, okay? They've got an angle on them, and then the front mud guard is going on 3 inches from there. The back one's going on, and that's 30mm exactly from the back of the car to there. Right, this is 6.5 inches from the top of the Jeep to where the mud guard's going. This one from the front, because I made that longer, this is 3 1/4 down. So if you draw a straight line, 3 1/4 from there to there, it should be 6.5 from there. Okay, so that's where I am now. I need to get both of these, yeah, hold them in line with 3.5 inches sticking out, drill a couple of holes, and then take it from there. This is the hole I've cut out with a Starrett hole cutter, so you can get the access to the electric brake on the near side, just above the axle. I've got the mud guards on both sides now, and I've swapping the front wheels so that they all look even. I'm painting them brown, and then I'm nearly ready to take the body off and paint it. I've painted it now, stuck the stickers on, wired out the lights, and it's more or less finished now. I've made a bracket, put a spare wheel on the back to make it look a bit better. Check that my wiring's all working, so it's more or less ready to go. I've wired up the front lights as well, they're working okay. I've sunk these lights in, they were only £3 from the boot fair.